Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting the like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from the advice subreddit and says, my boyfriend wants to spend a week with a female friend while I am away. I, 27 female, live with my boyfriend, 25 male. We've been together for almost 2 years. Started living together recently after being long distance for a while. And this summer I'll be abroad for a few weeks visiting my family. Recently an issue came up and I'd really appreciate outside perspectives. Here's the situation. My boyfriend has a female friend, 26 female, who is visiting our country to see another friend. Knowing she'd be around, he sent her a message about an event happening near our place. Something like, "You might be interested in this," type of thing. She replied asking if she could stay at our place for a week and then go to the event. I don't know if she's aware that I won't be home during this time. What I do know is that my boyfriend is totally fine with the idea and just answered that he will let her know. I honestly trust him. I don't think anything would happen, but I still find it uncomfortable that he's okay with having another woman stay over while I'm gone. And not just stay, but stay to go to an event together, just the two of them. That personally feels intimate, even if it's not something romantic. He, on the other hand, sees zero problem with it. He says he'd be 100% fine if I did the same with a male friend. And even though we cannot say that would be the case until it happens, I feel like it could be true. Thing is, I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that myself, not even if he said it was okay. To me, it feels like a grey area. Like it doesn't violate trust, but it tests emotional boundaries. My boyfriend is very close to his two sisters, and I wonder if that he has shaped his comfort level being around women platonically. He sees it as friend is just a friend, but to me, sharing a home in your partner's absence adds a level of emotional intimacy that I wouldn't personally feel okay creating with someone of the opposite sex. We've talked about it, and he's willing to respect my wishes, but we're still not quite seeing eye to eye. I'm trying to understand myself better. Why does this bother me so much when I trust him? For this reason, I'm asking you guys an opinion. Thanks for reading. Edit. Wanted to add that they've been friends for 3 years and that I've met her a few times. She's nice, but I don't really know her much. I wouldn't say we are friends, more acquaintances. Also, she has a boyfriend if this info can be of any help for the context. Lastly, my boyfriend lied to my face about minor things a few times in the past, so even if I trust that he wouldn't cheat, I don't believe him when he says he never had thoughts or feelings towards her. Edit 2. I didn't expect this post to get this much attention. Me and my boyfriend are reading the comments together and talking about what we think. I'll try to come back with an update. It's being very interesting to read everyone's thoughts on this topic. It's absolutely one of those stories that comes across as a grey area, but for me personally, I wouldn't feel comfortable with that either. And it just comes to consideration for your partner's feelings as well. In either situation, if I was her, I'd feel the same way as OP does right now. I wouldn't feel comfortable with someone coming around, sharing that space with him for the whole week while you're away. And if I was in his position, I would be considering my partner's thoughts on that. Like, if she asked to come around, my first thought would be, like, what would my partner think of that? I don't think I would like that myself, so it's probably not the best situation. And it wouldn't be a situation I would want to put my partner in. Bear Signal says communication is key in every relationship. Trust your gut, but also trust your partner and keep the conversation open. There's no one size fits all when it comes to relationship boundaries. It has to be tailored by both parties involved. Pitiful Warhog says, I'm married to my husband for 13 years. One of my best friends of 25 years is a man. My friend recently mentioned getting away from the families for a weekend. It was not suggested in that way. It's platonic. I go away a couple of times a year with girlfriends. Same thing, right? Well, no. Even knowing our friendship is and has always been platonic, it didn't feel right. I didn't even mention it to my husband. I think men and women can be friends. However, even then, I think there are lines not to cross out of respect for your partner. If you feel uncomfortable, be honest. I don't know many women that would be okay with leaving their SO alone with a friend of the opposite sex for an entire week. Due reflection says it all comes down to the person's character. A cheater will find a way to cheat despite tracking their location, searching through their phone and making them cut off all their friends. Someone who wouldn't cheat could be alone with someone that they share an attraction with and they won't cross the line. So what it boils down to is, do you trust him? It doesn't really sound like you do. You say you have caught him in some lies recently. If you don't want her over, maybe say that you aren't totally comfortable with it because of his deceptive behavior. Depending of course on the content and severity of the lies. Lying about something that affects you personally, not so good. Lying to protect someone else's privacy or feelings, not so bad. And of course, the more suspicious you are of someone, the more they will lie to you. I mean, he could agree not to have her over to avoid the argument, and then once you're gone, she just happened to show up anyway. And it is possible to hang out with a friend without it being a date. Holly Cross says, I couldn't imagine inviting myself to stay at someone else's house for a week because they invited me to a single event. Did her Airbnb or hostel plans fall through? She had planned a trip to visit someone else entirely and suddenly decides it makes sense to spend a big chunk of time at your place. Mooch vibes here. It's your home and this person is a stranger to you. Irrespective of their gender, you're allowed to feel uncomfortable about having someone you don't know stay in your personal space, especially when the invite has been cast before you've even had a chance to discuss it. Surface level, it sounds suspect. From a basic human cohabiting perspective, it's downright inconsiderate. So Opie updated their post and says, hello everyone. First of all, I want to thank the people that shared their thoughts. I received many responses and really appreciated the opportunity to reflect. My boyfriend and I read the many comments together and we were surprised by the fact that the opinions are clearly divided. Some emphasize trust and suggest I might be overthinking things, while others agreed that my feelings and boundaries are valid. This discussion helped me realize I've always been open about my own friendships, how long I've known someone and what our bond is like, but we never really talked in depth about his friendships, especially with women. It was very nice to talk it out and I now have a clearer understanding of his social life. Personally, I've gained some more clarity on why the situation doesn't sit right with me. Two of my boundaries are being crossed. First, my home is my sanctuary. Having someone I don't know very well stay for an extended period isn't okay with me, especially since my boyfriend has to work, meaning the guest would often be home alone. To be clear, this boundary applies regardless of the guest's gender. Second, a full week in that kind of intimate setting feels more like a relationship level arrangement than a casual friendship. That level of exclusivity is something I expect in a romantic partnership, not between friends. In this case, the gender is regarded because it creates ambiguity. That said, I don't consider visits like this completely off the table forever. It's important for me to know more of the other person and for the visits to be shorter. We don't always see things the same way, especially because we come from different countries and cultures, but he's committed to respecting my boundaries. He wants us to act as a united front, so we agreed to that before saying yes/no to any guest. We will talk it through and respond together. We also live in a continent where visiting friends across borders is easy and common. There'll be plenty of occasions for him and us to meet this friend of his. I'm not taking away a unique opportunity. Finally, some suggested installing cameras, but we already have cameras at the entrance. We also share locations with each other, so I don't think he ever considered lying to me about this. Thanks for reading. And Opie did confirm in the comments that she won't be staying over. But I did find the comments on this one really interesting to read the both perspectives. Some people were completely fine with it and saying they wouldn't find a problem with it whatsoever. Many people saying, they would find an issue with this. It's not about trust, it's about boundaries, etc., etc. Especially staying in your place without the initial discussion beforehand as well, by the sounds of it. Whilst there was other people questioning, how are you going to verify this? You're going to be away. Have you got cameras of some sort? But Opie mentioned in the very last part of that update that they do have cameras. But now I'm going to be interested. How would you feel in that situation? Would it be something that bothers you, or would you not be bothered about it? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from Artistic Object 8561 and says, am I overreacting? Found out my partner's boys trip was actually a couples trip. I cut all communication with my partner after I saw him with another girl on a trip without any real resolution. My partner, male 28, and I, female 28, have been together for 3 years. This year he planned and went on what he said was a boys' trip. They are friends since high school and all love Formula One. He'd been planning for a while, and as the months went on, he'd just tell me at what stage he was at in his planning. I didn't press him for details, just told him to have a good time and stay safe. But while he was on the trip, he barely messaged me. Like 2 snaps of him on a train and that was it. I just figured he was out having a fun time, so I didn't bother him much either. For context, he isn't the type to post all on social media and stuff, but he was sent snaps to me about daily life and stuff. However, he was enjoying himself and I started to see him post on his Snap story, and not to me. I left it alone, but I felt weird. That was the first day. By the end of the day, he didn't do a check-in call. All I got was a, "How are you, Booba?" Booba? How are you, Booba? I had a good and long day. My feet are hurting. That was all. 3 lines and he was gone again. I was confused but tried making the excuse that he probably had a full day and was going to go to sleep or maybe even go with the boys at night again. Day 2 came and even less communication. No good morning, nothing. But something didn't sit right. So, I know I probably shouldn't have. I checked out a few of his friends' Instagram stories. That's when it hit me like a truck. Every other guy on the trip brought their girlfriend. It wasn't a boys' trip, it was a full-blown couples trip. Everyone there was with their person, except me. In each of their stories, I saw my alleged partner of 3 years sitting in a small restaurant booth with some girl next to him and his arm draped around the back of her chair. Not just that, but each of the boys had their girlfriends with them. Imagine my shock and confusion. So, I take a few breaths and try not to overthink it at first, but I keep staring and I couldn't understand why. The fact that both of his friends captured him, right there, and posted it to their stories. Now, my immediate thought was to leave it alone and not cause any drama on his trip, so I kept breathing and trying to calm down. But as I looked at the image of my partner with another woman, I was done. I texted him in frustration, telling him if he didn't want to be in a relationship, he could have just broken up. He could have just been single and go on the trip. For even more context, he lives in Canada, but came home for a bit before heading back for his trip. We're long distance, and his boys are from this country, and so are their girlfriends, so they all had to fly up except one who also lives in Canada with his partner. At this point, I was over him and the relationship because he clearly took me for a fool, and I felt like I was the butt of the joke because most of them knew me. To be fair, I don't know if he told them we were still together or not. I don't know who this girl is. She could be a friend, she could be more. But honestly, at this point, it almost doesn't matter. He didn't tell me the truth. He didn't include me. He made me feel like a secret, and I can't help but wonder if he's been lying for longer than just this trip. Another girl messaged me earlier this year saying she only broke up with him when we started dating. And now I believe her. I didn't confront him right away. I was stunned. I wrote a message saying, "You didn't need to lie. I wasn't keeping you here. You could have left any time you wanted. Like cheating was so unnecessary." He messaged me saying, "I love you and I understand being mad, but it's not what it looks like and you don't have context." He said, "I wasn't touching anyone. There was limited seating and she was just there so we were all sitting," and claimed he was going to give me a full breakdown after the trip. That this isn't fair to either of us for me to create some issue on a trip he was looking forward to and wanted to enjoy. But to me, it already feels done. He gave some BS excuse the girlfriend's coming last minute and the girl being some girl that came with them, but she isn't looking like just an add-on, more like his +1. He tried to talk it out, but I was genuinely over his lack of communication and clear lies. Even if she happened to just be there, why not communicate all that changed? I'm sure at some point in the planning the boys mentioned bringing their girlfriends and you simply chose not to include me. You knew what you were doing. He kept saying he doesn't want us to have any issues while on his trip and thinks he should just be able to enjoy what is left of it without me assuming and causing issues because this is a trip he was looking forward to, and even asked if we were good now. Hope he has a couple of laughing emojis after that. So I blocked him on WhatsApp and Snapchat. I consider that a relationship, even if we hadn't had any official conversation. There isn't no context or explanation that can explain you being up under another girl on a boys' trip. So, am I overreacting? MB says just the fact that he lied about it being a boys' trip is enough of a red flag. If you can't be honest with your partner about the trip you're going on, that's just so odd. Add in the fact that he can't offer some basic communication with his partner of 3 years. Not even I'll send some text throughout the day and call you each morning to let you know how it's going. But yeah, as most have said, you're his out-of-town girlfriend. She's his local girl. Also, he communicates with you over WhatsApp and Snapchat? Red flags. I might make myself look a bit of a Burke about this one, but genuinely, why is it red flags about WhatsApp and Snapchat, the communication? I know in the UK, most people I know communicate through WhatsApp, but just wondering what I'm missing out on. Throwaway says, he went on a couple's trip with his town girlfriend. You're his out-of-town girlfriend. One of the various reasons why long-distance relationships fail. Some people are not trustworthy. They will cheat no matter how close in proximity you are. But long-distance relationships make it so easy for them. Let him go and find someone else who you can trust. Full Frontal says no. Honestly, if this was on the up and up, one, he would have told you as soon as he found out other guys brought girlfriends. If I were him and that happened, I would have been pissed off for the both of you. I would have immediately told you. I wouldn't have promised to make it up to you with some cool little trip. 2, he would not only not have blocked you from seeing his posts, but he would have communicated with you even more to reassure you. He thinks he can snow you. Don't fall for it. Stay strong and find someone better. It was the way he was communicating with her as well. I was like, let's not ruin my trip, you know. I've been looking forward to this for a long time. Let me come up with some bullshit first, and then I'll tell you after the trip has ended. But OP updated the post and says thank you for the comments, and yes, I did come to Reddit to get it off my chest, just in case I was being hypersensitive, as I can be sometimes. Like maybe I was just anxious because I can overthink. He was at home until midway last year when he left to go to Canada. Before his trip this week, he asked if I wanted to go to Toronto for a mini trip when he came back in a few months, and we got into a mini spat about some random thing, but actually communicated through it well. We've known each other since high school, and I just kept in touch until he came home and we were officially together. He asked me to be his girlfriend and all. So for me, the biggest thing is the lying. We hit a weird patch because I agree, long distance can be tough, so I know it was a silly attempt to make it work, but it wasn't going to be for long at first. He was a good partner for the most part, and I would not have known or expected this. It's the quiet ones you have to be careful of, I guess. I would just try to move on from this, but I trusted him, and he and I were friends from high school as well. And we only got together when he came back home after studying abroad. We were officially together. I met his family. We hung out with friends a few times, the whole 9 yards. Not close to his boys' girlfriends, so I couldn't ask them, and I don't know about the boys, but honestly, I'm sure the boys will stick up for him. I've known them well since school as well. But this one guy always has a shot of them, him and the girl somewhere in his story. I blocked friends as well too because I don't want that in my face and I keep wanting to check. I'm just tired and hurt. He sent a message on another app, pissed to say not to message or call him because I blocked him. But he was still blocked, so he probably did that to try and hurt or upset me. Knowing him, he won't come by when he comes back home, so at least I know it's over. It's just to heal now, I guess. I don't know if I can trust a person again. I don't think I want another relationship for a very long time. I'm too old for these games. Absolutely, the best thing you can do after a situation like that is heal and grow from it, not let it get to you because he's obviously an arsehole. The fact that he got onto another social media to message you to not get in contact with him again shows the type of person he is to me. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from a throwaway account from the Relationship Advice subreddit and says, I, 26 female, broke my wrist, and my husband, 28 male, won't help me out with driving. Where do I go from here? A couple of days ago, I was doing yard work and I tripped and fell and broke my wrist. It's in a cast and will be for at least 4 weeks. I work full-time in person about 30 minutes away from home. I took the last 2 days off from work, but I need to go back on Monday. I can't drive my car because it's stick shift and the wrist I broke is on the arm I used to shift. I can't grab the shifter to change gears, so I can't drive it. My husband drives an automatic, and while it wouldn't be the greatest thing, I could drive it. I asked him if he would mind switching cars with me until I'm able to shift gears again. He said no because he doesn't like driving my car. I taught him how, and he's used it before. He just doesn't like it. So I asked if he would drive me to and from work at least a few times per week. He also said no because he doesn't want to wake up early. He works 3 shifts per week in the evenings. I would be home with his car before he had to leave for work. He would also have time to drive me home from work without being late for work. I'm also the breadwinner and we need the money I make from working. He told me I should just Uber, that it would be at least $60 per day, and I can't afford that. I feel unsupported. I get the situation sucks, but a couple of years ago when his car wasn't working, I let him use my car. He worked more back then, 5 days per week, so I let him use it to go to work and also to go out with friends and stuff. So I feel I'm not being reciprocated. He doesn't owe me for that, but also he isn't willing to help me out with this, and the inconvenience for letting me use his car is much less for him because he'd be sleeping when I was using it. Where do I go from here? Am I asking or expecting for too much? Commoner says to OP, he does kind of owe you though, because a marriage is a partnership. He does need to step up here. OP says, I agree he needs to step up, but he doesn't owe me. I mean, I didn't let him use my car so one day I could throw it in his face. Well, I let you use my car. But also, I did. And the inconvenience was greater for me than it would be for him. The commenter replies saying he owes you because you're his wife and you need help that he can give. Zombie Nugget says he needs to step up or get the fuck out. Tell him he's being immature and lame, and if he doesn't let you use his car, he'll just take time off of work and he can pay all the bills. Considering you do all the yard work, it shouldn't be a big ask. OP replies saying, we can't make it just on his income alone, and I won't be able to pay my part in full if I have to spend $60 per day for Uber. I don't know what he expects to happen. I also don't do all the yard work. I was just doing some and fell. I was picking up sticks and leaves from the winter so he could mow the lawn. Commodore says, well, that's the thing he needs to understand. If he doesn't help you get to work, you don't work, and then your part becomes his part. It would all be his part to pay. Is that what he wants? Commodore says, why is he being such a dick about switching cars? It's completely logical to switch cars. So OP did come in with an update and says, I got a lot of advice on my last post. Some helpful, some not. A lot of people slammed him for not working more. I want to clear that up. He was working the same amount of hours as I was, sometimes more, but his hours got cut at work. He's been looking for a new job or second one, but hasn't had much luck. I know he has been looking and putting in effort. That's not an issue. But I sat down with him and said that we really need to talk about this because I had to go to work today, Monday. I sat down and told him I get he is having a hard time with his hours being cut and trying to navigate the job market. But I have a good job and I need to get there, and I can't afford to Uber a car while I heal. We need to find a solution. He kept talking in circles for the same reasons I mentioned in the last post. I don't know exactly what I said, but it was something along the lines of, that is not good enough for me. I don't accept those reasons and I don't think they're true. What is the actual reason? We're married and partners. Why am I left hanging like this? He finally told me the truth. Since his hours got cut, he hasn't been maintaining his car. He had savings and maintained his car when he worked more, but when his hours got cut, he started using his savings to pay for his part of the bills. And when it ran low, he finally let me readjust our spending. I pushed for it from the start, but he refused. But when his savings ran low, his car started having problems and he couldn't afford to fix it. He needs new tires, he needs new brakes, the air conditioning stopped working, and he also is well overdue for an oil change. He used to keep up with this stuff, but hasn't because he's low on money. He was ashamed and didn't want me to use his car or ride in it because he didn't want me to know how bad it was. He was embarrassed, so he never brought it up. So he's been driving an unsafe car and didn't want me to drive it. After a very long talk, we came to a solution. I will buy him used tires. They need to be done, but can wait a week as we look and get this set up. Yesterday we replaced the brake pads and did an oil change. I couldn't physically help, but I read him steps and looked at things when he wasn't sure. His dad also helped over FaceTime. Between our brains, we figured it out. We decided not to mess with the air conditioning because that's a comfort thing and not necessary, especially during this time of year. So all in all, he was having a private struggle I wasn't aware of. I usually don't go in his car, so I never noticed, and this morning he drove me to and from work. And either he will drive me or I will drive myself, with his permission. Depends on the day. I knew he was struggling with a lack of income, and I've been pushing and pushing for him to let me do more. But he held out due to pride, and his car suffered, and honestly, I think I might do the same thing. I still feel a bit betrayed, and the trust has eroded a bit, but at the same time, I also feel like I got closer to him. It's a weird feeling I can't fully explain, but in the end, I can get to work with his help. Rainey replies to that saying, "Pride and lying can kill a relationship as quickly as cruelty. Unless your husband sees that sharing burdens are the only way to success as a married couple, he will sabotage your future." Bartmaster Champ says, what a name. Wait, so he was nasty to his sick wife because he cared more about his pride. She had to literally beg him to communicate what was going on. And this is supposed to be a win for the relationship. Waiting for Death says, exactly. And he would have encouraged her to waste $1,200 in Uber rides rather than use that money to fix the damn car. Well, he is fully aware they're struggling financially, all to cradle his ego. And I think you can imagine the comments below this one. A lot of them weren't happy with the way things went in the end. I mean, OP saying that it brought them closer together. It may have done so, but has it fixed the initial problem, the way the partner thinks how to deal with things in their marriage, by hiding it and making things worse for the both of them? But what do you guys make of this situation? How would you deal with it if it was you? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.